initial thoughts. Oh my goodness. I remember why I love V. Schwab's writing so much. This is so beautiful. Heather, green eyes like bottle glass. Isabel, tattooed flowers down her throat. Renee smelled like lavender and smoke. Maddie, the bluest eyes I've ever seen. Jess, freckles like stars across her cheeks. And then Alice, Scottish, gentle, tastes like grief. You know it's good when she's cuddling the books. Hello heathens, welcome. I am doing a new release video today. So one of my kind of resolutions for 2025 was reading my new releases as they're being released and not like a year later when it's no longer relevant and I've lost all enthusiasm for them. So that's what I've been doing. And actually, I'm going to say I'm very proud of myself. It's been going well. So today we're going to talk about these three books. So they are three of my most anticipated, super excited about releases. I was planning to do like a proper vlog for all three of them, and then lifed. So I really only got to talk to you more about Bury Our Bones and the Midnight Soil, and I'll insert some clips here, or I may have already inserted a clip. But this book is insanely good. So it was Bury Our Bones and the Midnight Soil. It is Caught Up by Navessa Allen, which is the second book in the, I think it's called Into the Darkness. Yeah, Into the Darkness series. First one being Lights Out. They are pretty much standalones, although you will get a bit more out of this one if you've read the first one. But this is book two. And then the last one, and I have not heard people talk about this, which is an absolute tragedy. This is Nightshade by Autumn Woods. Also, that cover is absolutely stunning. So let's talk about them. Let's start with Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This has become my new personality. I am obsessed by this book. So I've read V.E. Schwab in the past. I've loved V.E. Schwab in the past. And I do think that if you love Addie LaRue, then this will be your speed. This is a vampire story, and I may be repeating myself of what I said before, but that reminds me so much of Anne Rice and the Vampire Chronicles and the way that Anne Rice writes her vampires, where she writes about them over years, over decades, where you kind of follow them through their lives. So if you think of Interview with a Vampire, you follow Louis and Lestat like through their lives and the different things that happen and the different people they meet, and it's almost like slice of life for a vampire. And that's what this reminds me of, and I think that is the biggest compliment I can give a vampire book, comparing it to the queen of vampire novels, Anne Rice. It is about three women. All three of them are turned into vampires, and it's about their lives and how they get to that point of being a vampire, but then also how their lives intersect and connect towards the end. And I was obsessed with it. This is also sapphic, so perfect for Pride Month as well, or Pride all year. But it's a beautiful sapphic love story, and you again have these interconnected, woven stories. But I also think it's about female agency. It reminded me of Hungerstone in the sense that there was also this question about what do you want? What are you looking for in life? What do you want your path to be? Because we start off with Maria in 1532, I think it is. And, at that time, women were just married off to the highest bidder, whoever was the most, preferential for their family to marry them off to. And she, like from the get-go, knows that she doesn't really want to be a pawn in this game, and she wants to kind of set her own life. So she, in a way, chooses her own suitor, but she does it in a really cool manipulative way, which I really loved. And then you kind of go through to, you're in the 1800s in London, you're in Venice, you're in Paris. The other storyline, the modern storyline, is from 2019, where we have Alice, and she is at university in Scotland, and you kind of follow her story. So I actually loved, and I will say, if you're not somebody that likes POV switching and timeline switching, that might annoy you, but I love that kind of thing. I get bored very easily, so I actually like when we switch POVs, and I like when we switch timelines. But you kind of follow her through the modern timeline, what that feels like to become a vampire, what she's got going on in her life. And then you find out how all of these stories connect, but you go through decades, through centuries, you know, starting in the 1500s all the way to 2019, and you follow these lives, and you follow the entanglements of these women and their wants and their desires and who they want to be and how they're kind of carving their own way in the world. And the writing, it's V.E. Schwab, the writing is lyrical, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. But the storyline was also there, and the characters were also there. And I fell in love with Sabine. I fell in love with Marianne. I fell in love with Alice. I fell in love with all three of them, and Lottie, four of them. And just, I just think this is magical. Like I said, if you like Anne Rice, if you like a good vampire novel, if you want a sapphic vampire novel that is incredible, My Whole Personality, one of my books of the year, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by Miss V.E. Schwab. It's incredible. Then I read Caught Up by Nerissa Allen. Now, this one is difficult for me, and I've had to sit with this for a while. So, Lights Out, one of my top tier books, favorites of last year. It just makes me happy. I think about those characters a lot. And they do pop up in this book. So, I was really, really looking forward to this, because this is based on our main character, one of our main characters from the previous book, her cousin, Nico Jr. It's kind of his story. And her family is part of the mob. So Nico's in the mob, but Nico's not happy about being in the mob, and he actually kind of wants to get out. He's also being quite badly treated by his father. And this story is his love story with the girl that he was kind of in love with in high school, but his father and her father were not happy about it. So he kind of like deliberately dumped her, but in a really nasty way. There were lots of nasty rumors about her at school. And he broke her heart. And now, this is years later, they're both adults. And what I love about our main female character, she is a cam girl, and she is very prominent in fighting for rights for sex workers. She's very active in kind of lobbying and campaigning. She's also very loud and proud about who she is. She's not afraid to say that she does cam work and she's a sex worker. And this kind of melds in with the first book, where Josh, we know he did those kind of like thirst trap masked men videos online, so that sort of parallels that. But what I would say about this book, as much as I loved Lo as a character, and I really did, and I did like Nico, I felt this book was, and I'm going to say it was just too heavy on the smut. And I never thought I'd say that, but the thing was, I would say the first half of this book was just smut scene after smut scene after smut scene, and they were hot and they were good, don't get me wrong. There's a kind of a club involved and all sorts of fantasies and things, but I felt like it sacrificed us moving the story along and us getting the characterization. And you know that old adage about show and don't tell? We were being told about Nico and Lo's past. We were being told that it was difficult for them to be together because their families were at odds. We were being told that, you know, Nico's family is really violent, and only until the very end of the book where we actually see a scene of this happening, where he is getting out of the mafia, or wants to get out of the mafia. But it was a lot of tell, not that much show. And I feel like we could have used some of those chapters where we were just kind of spice, showing that backstory, showing that progression, because I actually really like these characters. And I love Nerissa Allen's writing style, but I just feel like in Lights Out, we had the perfect balance of like the humor, the kind of spice, the relationship, all of that. It was just perfect. Whereas this one, it just, for me, it lent too heavily on that, and it didn't develop the relationship and the character as much as I'd wanted it to. And that's why that's why it frustrates me, because I think it had a lot of potential, and I actually really enjoyed the characters, and I enjoyed when Josh shows up in here as well. But it missed the mark for me on that. So I would still give this a 3-star, because I personally had a fun time reading it, and I liked being back in that world. And I will pick up the next book in the series, because I want to see how she kind of handles that, if we go back to more of the style of Lights Out or not. So I will definitely read a next book in the series, if there is one. I think there might be one. But would I recommend this to everyone? Not necessarily. It was a fun, spicy time. Like I said, I love Lo as a character, I like Nico as a character, but it wasn't Lights Out. It didn't reach my expectations. So it was a bit of a disappointment for me. And then Nightshade by Autumn Woods. First of all, fabulous name, great title. This I saw this and I was really excited about this because it was billed as like dark academia, spicy, dark romance, dark academia story. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of Gothicana, kind of reminded me a little bit of Nocticadia and that sort of feel. And that is what I love. And this is exactly what it is. And I had so much fun reading this. What I will say, and I'm going to say this from the offset, is it ends on a massive cliffhanger, which actually really annoyed me. So there must be, this is also a debut author, debut novel. And I think there are parts, some of the transitions, some of the things, I think the ending was a little bit rushed. And then we had that massive cliffhanger where you kind of go, oh, okay, debut. But other than that, the writing is incredible. The storyline is so good. So you have, is it Ophelia? Yeah, Alex and Ophelia, yeah. So Ophelia, she, her parents passed away, I think it was 4 years previously. She's 21 now, early 20s. And her parents both worked at this university in the Scottish Highlands, this very kind of exclusive university that has very rich kids. Again, you've got like, this is a bit like Legacy of the Gods, where you've got mafia kids, you've got like captains of industry, very, very rich, prominent influencers. All of these, when I say kids, they're all in their early 20s, so it's university. So this is like slightly more young adult, I would say. Not young adult, new adult. And they go to this university and it's shrouded in a lot of mystery, it's shrouded in a lot of conspiracies, but her parents worked there. And she, of course, was not rich. Her parents, the one was a gardener and, you know, she doesn't come from a rich background. And her father has always tried to keep her away from this university. But when they passed away 4 years ago, they passed away in a helicopter crash. That was the helicopter for the school that was kind of taking them back home. It was almost like the ferry service or the car service for the school, right? Very rich people, they have a helicopter. And her parents died, and she has wanted nothing to do with this, but she also kind of wants to figure out what exactly happened to her parents, because the whole incident has been hushed, and it's been hushed by the owners of the company that own these helicopters, and it's like they're, again, business people, slightly shady business people. So she wants to know what happened, and she wants revenge as well. So instead of heeding her father's warning and not going anywhere near the school, she decides she's going to go there. But also, coincidentally for her, she gets like a admissions letter giving her a full scholarship to the school, kind of out of the blue. And it feels like they're trying to hush her up or make amends for her parents' death. So she decides she's going to go. And on her very first day, she's kind of trudging up this Scottish lane, and it's dark and it's cold and it's rainy and it's muddy and it's Scotland. And she falls over, and then a car kind of stops. And it's this really fancy car, and this guy, Alex, is in the car. She doesn't know who he is. He gives her a lift to the school. They have very cool banter, very bitey, very enemies to lovers. And this, again, is, I hate to say it, but true enemies to lovers. Because turns out Alex is the son of the family that owned the helicopter, and that basically hushed up her family's death, her parents' death. So she hates him, but he's utterly fascinated with her from the get-go. And I loved the dynamic. I loved how gone he was for her, how much he really wanted her, and she just kept resisting and kept resisting. She did obviously kind of keep the secret, and that she knew who he was. He didn't know who she was for most of the book, until she kind of reveals things. I will say, there were points when I was like, oh, just bloody tell him. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of went on just a smidgen too long, where she didn't tell him why she is upset with him, because, you know, it's his family. And she's kind of investigating his father and trying to get revenge in a way and figure out what happened to her parents. So that did go on a little bit, but I love the dynamics of the school. You've got Alex's best friend, who's like Italian mafia, and the house, so they have houses that she gets put in Nightshade, is like really dangerous. Her roommate keeps trying to get rid of her. There is a death that happens, so there's like an investigation. So you've got this investigation mystery element where she's trying to figure out what happened to her parents. There's all sorts of going on at the school, and then you have this incredible, beautiful, like, enemies to lovers romance, and also their circumstances couldn't be any different. She's really poor, she has no money. He calls her Twist a lot for the clothes she wears, Oliver Twist. He's very rich, but then you find out that, you know, he himself has a bad family life, and I found it very emotional. I found it very beautifully written. I loved the love story between them. Yes, there were bits and pieces, but I could totally overlook them because in general, I love this. I love the atmosphere, the setting. This is the kind of Gothicana-ish read that I was looking for from Enigma. Absolutely love this. Like I said, it is a massive cliffhanger. No clue of when the second book's going to come out, so I was really annoyed. But up until then, I just loved the story. I enjoyed it. I fell into this world. I kind of keep thinking about it. It was really beautiful, an unexpected hit. So this is 4.5, 4.75 star for me. I had a really, really great time. So that was my lot. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what new releases you're looking forward to this year. And if you think I should read them, let me know. And leave me a vampire emoji to say you were here. I'll speak to you all very soon.